2-13. 1-7 versus Zerg. 9-4 versus ByuL, a positive record. A terrible record in ace matches at 1-5. It's a bit of a controversial figure amongst commentators, pros, fans. He spends a lot of his time playing in online tournaments. A lot of people like that because it sends him to offline events, you know, in Europe, in the States. Sends him overseas a lot because he qualifies a lot. But he does poorly in Korea for it. It might seem crazy what I'm about to say, but I highly favor ByuL going into this. He's 6-4 versus Zerg. He's 16-9. 5-0 in ace matches. Even though he's got a negative record versus Solar, a lot of those are, including unofficial matches, no doubt a lot of those are online matches, where they're both staying up till the middle of the night seeing if they're going to go to DreamHack or whatever. But I favor him highly here. He's got a lot more experience. He's played a lot more matches. He's a lot more successful overall. Some of the Korean commentators did vote against ByuL here, but it's a ZVZ matchup. Anything can happen. I personally feel most people would favor ByuL going to this one. This guy just got second in GSL, top 4 Star League, incredible record in Pro League. And let's go into this Iron Fortress with this Zerg versus Zerg. Solar versus ByuL. The map is up and loaded, ladies and gentlemen. Let's find out if Solar can tie it up or if ByuL is going to take that 2-0 lead. The top right in red is Solar. To the bottom right, vertically spawned in blue, it's ByuL. So, vertical spawns a lot more potential for aggression. You can, for example, hit a +1 roach timing off 2 base or in the empty third to punish your opponent's third. You can see a lot more Baneling aggression, Speedling attacks, counterattacks. The third base is fairly close by, of course, but especially if you take, say, the bottom right, look at ByuL's base, if you take the one that's to the left of the natural, it's not too far away. It's far enough away from your opponent. There's enough ramps to control that you're usually going to have a decent time of defending. So, nothing, nothing too out of the ordinary for these spawns. Like, this is not, what was that map? Deadwing, close spawns or something like that. That had to be disabled. This is not hyper-aggression city. This is just, simply put, there's a lot more potential for that kind of damage to be done. Looks like both players are going to be doing a greedy opening here. Although we still don't know for sure. Okay, there's the extra drones. So we know for sure now there's going to be hatch first for both players. Let's see who times it better. Who's it going to be? ByuL is perfectly timed. Like 1 second behind for Solar. Not that significant. Extra drone for Solar. ByuL is going to be playing a bit of a safer pool. Solar drinking some Powerade. To keep those electrolytes hydrated. If that's the word for that anyways. Blue Powerade is the best Powerade though. No one would ever dispute that. No gas for ByuL, meaning he's going to have a surplus of minerals. He's going to be able to get extra queens out if he decides to continue down this path. Just playing very safe. Doesn't want to cut any corners. Which is, again, a sign of a player who thinks that they're better than their opponent in a mirror matchup like this. If you play safer, your opponent gets some early advantages over you if they play greedy. But those advantages are insignificant compared to the overall level of play of some of these players who have an advantage. So I think ByuL is just taking this thing. I'm the better player. I'm going to play safe. ByuL has lost very famous matches. Like, for example, his match versus Terra's first win in his EVZ, where he played greedy against someone that he was much better than, and it cost him the game. So I feel like he's definitely learned a lot in his EVZs. ByuL, a player who has really found a home here on CJ Antis. He's been in so many different teams. Really glad to see him now not even be like solid, but also be one of the carries for his team along with Hero. really carrying us through that win in round 3 versus Jin Air, defeating Mar with a 2-base Mulus play, as well as many other players. I think he got 2 kills or 3 kills in that match. It's been a while now. Speed is on the way for Solar. And, you know, ByuL's gas is just now finished. He's getting his very first gases now. Their very first, you know, gas patches. Those little blobs that the drones pull. You can see him if you look at the top right of the screen. It's like a little sack of gas. It's really cool in Starcraft 2. In Heart of the Swarm, they changed the way that the gas looks for all 3 races, and you can see it in the display at the top right, which is pretty cool. I cannot believe this happened. This should not have happened. Solar's can actually get in the main base. But because he's not paying attention, we'll get no information whatsoever on the gas and how much is mining. Looks like he himself couldn't even believe the Ling got in. I don't think he was paying attention. He just right-clicked and then he was like, ah, whatever. I'm going to go make my hatch and hit my inject. Speed is done, and he continues to mine gas. So he's going to have a lot of gas kind of stacked up. Although, did he just stop at 88? Let's see how much he pulled out. Okay, he's down to one harvester in the main. He was mining a lot of extra gas. He's got this extra stock of gas to go for fast lair, should that be what he decides to do. But he's adding an evolution chamber now. And I think we'll see a roach warren from him pretty soon. And that extra gas is going to allow him to make continuous roaches. And he's basically pulled out of gas, so he's buying that gas if he needs like some emergency roaches or banelings or something like that. But has the gas to where when he resumes gas mining as he is now, he can actually have enough gas to make roaches to defend his base while he's getting extra minerals from the drones that were not mining it. So a good way to play this. A +1 was started briefly for ByuL, and he canceled it. Now just going into roach production, and has a metabolic boost on the way. So he showed these evolution chambers, and they were jiggling, right? Looked like they were going. Lings are trying to confirm whether he's actually getting the upgrades or not. Solar, on the other hand, does start his upgrades for real. I think the Lings are starting to get a good idea these are not actually researching. And look at this. Behind this, 10 more Lings. ByuL is really heavy going on the Ling production here. Notice that Solar just made a ton of Overlords, so he's actually going to have a ton of roach production off of every mineral he gets from that 3rd base. Tries to deny this 3rd. He better get it. He needs to get that. Okay, that's huge. I thought he was going to let it go for a second, but he sees the push. This is not an all-in, but this is a very strong timing that could do a ton of damage to the 3rd base. And this is only possible, of course, at these vertical spawns like this. The best potential. You can see in Solar's face, he's panicking a little bit here. Struggling to get those roaches out right now. Okay, here we go. Roach is attacking here. Going to go ahead and get on top of this ramp, get into a good position. Ling's buffering here for them, but Solar has a lot more of his own roaches coming out. And some of them are coming out able to reinforce right away. Some of them otherwise getting caught here at the top of the ramp. ByuL's control here, a bit indecisive. Better not go down that ramp halfway. That was a close call. Would have lost 3 roaches for free there. And he's continuing the aggression. 20 more Lings behind this. Starts +1, gets a lair up. I mean, again, this is not an all-in, but this did no damage, and now he has to cancel his hatchery again. Solar is miles ahead. Miles and miles ahead. Kilometers for those of you in Europe. About like 1.6 times as many of them. This roach attack over here is going to get shut down and spotted as well. Easily. ByuL is massively behind. Solar canceled his +1 from earlier. So, you know, he's not like he got that finished. Like he was about to, had he not canceled it, he would have been finished by now, so he would have that advantage as well. But because he canceled it, ByuL is slightly ahead in +1. But he's got a smaller army. And this base is so low because it's so new that these Lings might actually kill it as he's distracting the rest of this army here. There's a lot of Lings to buffer for ByuL here, but if he kills that base, it's all worth it. And that's exactly what he's going to do. No cancel. And that actually is probably just too much. I think that's actually going to be game. GG. ByuL just got wrecked, man. Like, the crowd is screaming downstairs as Solar takes the win. And he's like shaking, you can see it. ByuL just got destroyed. Like, imagine you just like drop the vase on the floor and everyone's like gasping as it shatters. That was ByuL. Wrecked. Owned. Pwned. Annihilated. That was not even close. The biggest problem was his 3rd base. And also, you know, his overextension with that attack. It was scouted and responded to well. The 3rd base was out in just enough time to give him enough production. to actually hold that off. And he was a bit indecisive with his control, fighting both groups of roaches where he was basically even instead of grouping his roaches together and fighting smaller groups of roaches as they came out of the larva one by one at the third base and controlling the ramp. They're taking a much better engagement there. You know, if you look at Sue, he's like the king of those types of timings with roach ling and sometimes with +1, sometimes without. Bill, on the other hand, is struggling to make it work. He saw the third base. He wanted to go for the attack. Did not work out the way he wanted it to. Then he could not hold on to his third base. We are going to take a 3-minute break, guys, before we go into Hurricane versus Hero, our third mirror matchup of this match. It's going to be a Protoss versus Protoss. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.